mercy triumphs over judgment. That's what James says in James chapter 1, verses 13 and 14. Listen to this passage. Speak and act as those who are going to be judged by the law that gives freedom, because judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Mercy triumphs over judgment. If you have a choice of either being judgmental or merciful, always choose mercy. Maybe you're in a marriage and you just feel like your spouse has stumbled so much, and it's just like you're tired of the way he or she's been acting. You're through. But wait a minute. What if it was you that was going through a crisis in life? Would you want them to abandon you because of what you're going through? Yeah, but I would never go through what they're going through. That may be true, but you could be going through something different. And this is why James writes and says, you got to remember that if you break one of the commandments, you break the entire tablet. So he gives an example, and he says, God says, thou shalt not commit adultery, but he also says, thou shalt not murder. So if you're faithful and you don't commit adultery, you can't brag and say, well, you know what? I've always been faithful to my spouse. Man, I may have killed a man, but I have been faithful. You're still a murderer. And that's the point that James is bringing out, is you may not stumble and be weak like this person in that area, but you are weak in other areas. For example, for me, I'm not tempted with same-sex attraction. I have none of that. I don't think of children in any sexual manner. I think that's just horrible. I just don't have that. But it doesn't mean I'm not tempted. And what he reminds us is we may not be weak like one person is in one area, but we're weak in another. So you know what he says? You better be merciful, because if you don't show mercy, then your Heavenly Father is not going to show mercy to you either. I think politics is a good example of the lack of mercy. If you're a Democrat and you see a Republican stumble and fall, oh, you just hound on them, don't you? You just beat up on them. And the same thing if you're a Republican and you see a Democrat fall. But if you see one of your own people fall and make a mistake, then you know what you do? Well, everyone's judging that person unfairly. They're just being critical unfairly. How come it's always unfair when it's your guy, but it's okay when it's another person's guy? See, it's the hypocrisy of it all. And what James is telling us, we have to choose mercy rather than judgment. Because if we don't choose mercy, my brothers and sisters, then we're not going to experience the full mercy of God in this life. And we're going to have some problems. And some of you are having problems in life because you haven't been merciful. It's time to let mercy triumph over judgment.